Thank you, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity, Board and Chair. My name is Becker. I've been involved in this whole discussion for many years, I think since 2009. So let me start off by talking about the importance of the regulator, this body that we stand in front of. The mandate of the regulator is to provide protection for the public, for the environment and from the public from all hazards of radioactive material. This is a crucial role, and it requires adequate funding and support in order to do it well. And the NNR is our last line of defense against dangers, because industry will always want to do things as cheaply as possible to maximize profit, and we need an independent, strong regulator to protect us. And public trust in the regulator is also a crucial thing. So the NNR Act, when it was drafted, was well aware of this. And it made provisions which are very unusual for the laws in our country. And it clearly says who must be on the board. And here's a short extract. It must have a representative of organised labour, it must have a representative of business, and it must have one person representing communities to represent the concerns of communities which may be affected by nuclear power. So we also not only have a crucial function that the regulator holds, these 2 years, 2024 and 2025, are the most important years in the history of the organisation. The decisions that are being made in these 2 years will affect the country for thousands of years, probably more important than any other government body. We've also had the transfer of the license. In fact, not the transfer, I was corrected by Mr. Bucknodin. There's actually a new application for the Nawadi license that was granted in these 2 years, and these are those decisions that will affect the country for thousands of years. There's also the crucial part of public trust. You, the public, need to be able to trust the NNR, and I think the board is well aware of this, which is why there's been 15 million allocated to improving stakeholder trust for this year, and that was as presented to Parliament in terms of the budget and the annual performance plan. Now, there are some concerns about that, and there are good reasons why the NNR needs to make an effort to ensure that there is public trust. This is from a report 2013 from the International Atomic Energy Agency, which said that the Minister of Energy is in charge of appointing and dismissing members of this board, and that calls into question the effective independence of the NNR. Now, it's a pity that there's been no response to this since 2013, and it's also a little disappointing that there's been no effort from the board to make this known to the public and to correct this situation for the 12 years since this report was issued by the IEA, and this recommendation was made by the IEA to fix this. It also didn't particularly help that the annual performance plan in 2022 brought up that the role of the NNR was to make the public more aware of the vital role of nuclear power. Now, that is not the role of the NNR whatsoever. It is meant to be an independent body that does not try and make anyone more aware of the vital role of nuclear power. The job of the NNR is not to promote or to denigrate nuclear power, it's to regulate it. So I also want to take a moment to talk about who is responsible for appointing board members. And as we saw from the section of the Act, it's the Minister who makes those formal appointments. However, it's not the Minister who initiates that. It's the job of the CEO of any organisation to bring governance issues to the attention of the board, and it's the job of the board to bring that and communicate that to the Minister when it's necessary. And to give an example of why that's true, there's a precedent in this. This was a letter written by the board to the Minister, and it requested that I was dismissed from my role as community representative. So I bring this up not to go back into this issue, but to just make it clear that it is the NNR board that communicates to the Minister about appointments and dismissals from the board. This caused a huge reputational damage to the NNR. It made international headlines, but again, let's move on. Particularly importantly was the Minister in charge of the NNR, and you might recall the IAEA said it was a problem that this Minister is in charge of the NNR, made the public statement that you, as board members, if you resist Nuclear, I will fire you, it's simple. And he said, you can't be on the board of the Nuclear Regulator if you do not advocate for nuclear power. Now, this is a concern, and it's led to a breakdown of public trust, because this is not how an independent regulator should function. I also wanted to give a little timeline here of the community representative, this position on the board. It became vacant in January 22 when I was dismissed. I was accused of misconduct and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that went to court, and the court found it was done in bad faith with an ulterior motive, and there was no misconduct at all, as was fabricated. In December 2023, I was at a presentation to Parliament, and you were there as well, CEO, and you actually requested that the role of community representative was removed from the NNR Act. Parliament refused, and that role is still there, although it is still vacant. On the 10th of June 2024, my 3-year term ended, so never mind the court process and the Supreme Court of Appeal, and I've got the judgment here if anyone's interested. My dismissal was unlawful, but either way, in June 2024, my term came to an end. At that point, the CEO or the board should have initiated the process of replacing the community rep, but apparently that was forgotten. It should have actually been done months before, because you know when people's terms are ending. On the 13th of June 2024, there was a call for Labour representatives. And this was gazetted. Once again, although the role of Labour rep was remembered, the role of community rep appears to have been forgotten. So we're in a situation here, well, while the NNR, this crucial organisation, is making the most crucial decisions in its history, which will affect communities for thousands of years, this role of your community, your representative on the board, has been left vacant due to actions done in bad faith with an ulterior motive, and an unlawful, unconstitutional and invalid dismissal, followed by inaction by the CEO and the board to remedy that situation and to appoint somebody who is required by law to represent communities. Those quotes are from the judgment, by the way. So I did a quick check, and I'll just run over this very quickly, I'm nearly done. The internet remembers. So there's something called the Wayback Machine, and this was on the 26th of August, when we had an advertisement for a new board member. That was for the Labour rep. And we were all asking, where is the nomination for the community rep? When I went to check yesterday, I found the link is still there, but it's been changed to now have representative communities. So you can't see that from the titles down the left. But anyway, apparently there was a call for community rep, but it expired on 30th of September. Now, I also know all civil societies did not get any email about this advert. All the civil societies who get the emails from Gino, who has our list, has all our emails, no one was notified that this call for nominations was out, and now it has lapsed. So again, communities and civil society organisations have been deprived of their opportunity to have a representative representing their concerns. So I've got a few questions in ending for the board. Firstly, do you think it's ethical to make these crucial decisions while this post is actually vacant? That the community rep post is vacant, due to the reasons we've discussed. And also, since there's no community rep there, will the minutes of the decision be kept secret, as is your normal practice, or will you actually publish that, including who votes for the extension and who not? Number two, has any attempt been made to identify the people who the court found acted in bad faith with ulterior motives about the community rep? Are those people still in positions of power? Could it be some of the people sitting here in this meeting? And could they be involved in making decisions about this long-term application? Next question. Has the NNR considered apologising to communities for this bad faith action and this lack of remedying the situation and depriving them of a community rep? And finally, what kind of reasons has the community got for trusting you, given this history? And then to end with a suggestion, you don't need to spend 15 million to improve public trust. You just need to do your job, to follow the law, and to make sure communities are represented as the law requires. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter Becker. Now I remember where I know your name from.